But yeah, so you guys know that this movie was actually directed by Bill Paxton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just reading that now, actually.
Did not know that.
You didn't know that?
Nope, not know that. Well, I just came up here from watching it, so...
It'd be a lot cooler if you did. And welcome to the UGO podcast, Netflix and Kill Edition. And ooh, am I excited for this week? Because we're going to be talking about the late and great Bill Paxton in a twofer this time, in a acting and directing tour de force. Mm-hmm. And who's talking about the Bill with you today? It's me, Nick, the Merc with a mic, and my fellow unapologists,
Travis.
And Kyle.
So yes, I decided to pick this film in honor of our late friend, the Bill, and I actually did not know that he actually directed this movie before I started to watch it. Mm-hmm. And then I was looking on the IMDb notes, and I was like, "Oh, Bill Paxton! He actually directed this."
Yeah,
you know, it wasn't his only directing thing as well. It was he directed The Greatest Game Ever Played. That movie, 2005, and he directed this one. He directed an episode of Saturday Night Live, and of course, the great Fish Heads. You guys don't know about? Do you know about Fish Heads?
I don't know about.
You don't know about Fish Heads? It's this short that they used to play on Saturday Night Live and MTV. I'll show you before the musical break, before the spoiler section. During that, you know what? I'll even play the Fish Heads song during the spoiler section, just out of nowhere for no reason. Other than the fact that I just want to remember Bill Paxton for that. But yes, we're not talking about fish heads. We're talking about other dismembered heads. We're talking about the dismembered heads in Frailty. There had to have been some in there, right?
Well, I mean, that's what he was aiming for. Yeah, so like yeah,
they never really explicitly show it, but they're chopping people up.
Yeah,
and so it is actually a story about Bill Paxton as a loving father. He's actually a really nice guy in the beginning of this movie.
Yeah,
he's actually a super cool dude.
Actually, through most of the movie, it shows him being a fairly decent dad.
Yeah, really.
For the whole, thing.
Except for that, he's crazy.
Except for that, he's crazy.
No, he got visited by angels, Travis.
Because that doesn't make you crazy.
A Wolverine motherfucker kind of angel.
A Wolverine motherfucker. I did like that the angel is like the most badass, because Bill Paxton, of course, directed this, so he's like, well, if an angel visits me, it's not going to be any of this glowy light, like, soft-lit bullshit. It's going to be me working on my car, and then suddenly a fucking giant angel with a fucking sword and a flaming sword and shield comes down and says, "You're going to have to be a badass for the Lord." And I was just like, yeah, I bet you that's what Bill Paxton thinks what angels are like.
That's alright, because the Bible actually describes the angels mostly as like Cthulhu-esque monsters.
Yeah,
so.
they actually look kind of terrifying if you go by
the original
biblical description.
Yeah. I always thought like the cherubic thing, like a bunch of cupids.
That's the cherubs are basically the rank that they sent down after they realized, oh fuck, we're terrifying humans.
Mm-hmm. Well, he is actually a loving father, and but the story's not focused on him because this is all flashbacks. Because who we really open up with is Matthew McConaughey, and I love how we both did it.
I know you so well.
A very, very early film for him. Because this film was actually back in 2001, so it was not quite way before the McConaissance, as some would put it.
We did not quite hit peak McConaughey.
No, not yet. There was not. If I had one complaint about this movie, it's that there is not one all right in it.
Dude, that's a spoiler right there. You should stop that.
No, the people need to know before they go into this, so that they can
that has to be on the box.
That they can mentally prepare that there's going to be no all right, like not even one. Okay, much less three. Right. But yeah, he is talking to the FBI agent played by Powers Booth, who always seems like he is scheming to eat people or something. Like Powers Booth is always this kind of like, even when he's playing a good guy, he looks like he's like this douchebag of a.
Well, we do have a flashback with him, and in this flashback, he's got the murder eyes going on. Like,
well, I just think Powers Booth has actually killed someone in real life because he has real life murder eyes.
Yes, he really does.
But he's the FBI agent hunting a serial killer.
The God's Hand, right?
God's Hand serial killer.
Sounds like he should go fight a Ninja Turtle or something. Oh, wait, no, that'd be Foot. Sorry, I screwed up my...
So technically, you'd be fighting Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yeah, the God's Hand. Like, no, not the Hand, the lame Iron Fist villain. Like, but we're not talking about Iron Fist. Yeah, so Powers Booth is listening to Matthew McConaughey telling him about, like, oh, my brother, he's totally the God's Hand killer. Like, well, how do you know that? Because of this really long story that I'm about to tell you.
I'll get into that. Let me tell you my life story.
So apparently his brother, we see his brother kill himself the night before, apparently, and somehow Matthew McConaughey went to bury him in a rose garden, and then
stole an ambulance
with his brother in it, buried him in the rose garden, then drove the ambulance to this FBI, like, what did it say, 200 miles?
Yeah.
To where this FBI place. I'm like, how did you do that all in a day?
Yeah, that
seems like a busy day, man.
Well, then the FBI agent calls the cops, and they're just like, "It's fine, he's fine."
I do love that the sheriff's department is like, "Yeah, it's cool." Like,
it's like,
what?
We know who that is. He does it all the time. Like, really,
Man,
really.
Small towns, man.
Yeah.
Small towns. Like
Texas, small towns.
Nah, that's just how he is. Don't worry about it. As long as he brings it back, no harm, no foul. Yeah, so he begins to tell Powers Booth all about his family life after Bill Paxton gets a message from God. And, well, from an angel, actually. I don't think he ever actually talks to God. So he gets this message saying that Armageddon is here, and that it's the battle for Earth's soul is being fought, and there's demons amongst us, and only him and his family and people like him can see it, see these demons, and he said, like, oh, and we have to destroy them, and he's gonna send them down weapons, and him and his sons are gonna have to go out and destroy these demons
that are on a list.
That are on the he's gonna send them this magical list of telling them, like, who needs to get taken out, and Matthew McConaughey playing I forget what was his brother, him and his brother's names. I forget.
Fenton and
Adam.
Adam,
he was Fenton, and then
so
the older one was Fenton.
Older one's Fenton. Okay, so he as Fenton he has the actual immediate reaction because he's the older brother. He's like, this sounds off. Yeah. I don't know about this.
Well, I actually really love this scene the first scene where they introduce this whole entire thing, and it switches to the next morning, and the other two are acting like nothing happened.
I know. And he just assumes, like, okay, obviously I dreamed that because that was fucking crazy, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna go through my day, and then, like, the dad's dropping him off in the middle of, like, telling him, like, hey, here's your lunch pail, here's your school, make sure you do better on that math test this time around. Oh, and don't forget about the mission from God that we're on to kill the demons, alright? And, have a nice day, have a nice day, guys. He's just...
It's a little disconcerting how, like, normal he's acting.
Wait, what? Well, it's weird because Bill Paxton, if I have to,
give credit
to, he is a phenomenal actor. Like, super great, because he is willing to go there and he's not afraid to look silly with his acting. And sometimes in this film he does look a little unhinged and silly, but he is kind of losing his shit.
It's not really a detriment to the film.
No, and I think it really enhances it. And he plays this really loving dad throughout it, to where it's like you can tell, like, it is the hallmarks of an abusive relationship, but you never get the sense that he actually hates his kids.
No.
Like, he actually loves them and he wants Fenton to see the demons and he wants him to have the faith in the mission like he does.
Yeah, because Fenton's just calling all sorts of bullshit on this whole entire film.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Paxton doesn't get a character name. He just is Dad Meeks or Meekis or whatever, however they want to pronounce
Meeks.
it.
All they ever call him is Dad. And yeah, he has this great scene whenever they're eating dinner together, or he's like passing the peas, and he makes a little joke out of like everything. He's kind of like, oh, like, man, that's like on a good day with your dad, when you're just like, man, my dad's pretty cool. And he makes corny jokes all the time, but he's an alright dude. I mean, he sometimes hits women in the face with an axe, but most of the time he's alright. So
sounds like a weekend in Vegas.
Yeah. Well, with it's more of a party axe then. And then, like, you hit it, and then it's like there's confetti on it, along with blood. But, the whole idea of this mission from God, like the film is like immediately you're seeing it from Fenton's perspective, so you're immediately suspicious, if not to the point where with the FBI agent also giving his commentary, you're like, okay, this is bullshit. And he's constantly more concerned about, because Fenton is like, no matter what, he is not with this. Like, when it first comes to the point of the first kill, and we get our weapons, we get like, Bill Paxton sees this light hit this barn, and he sees an axe and some gloves. Yep. And it's like, okay, I get the axe maybe, but then the gloves, and then he figures out himself. It so has the sense of rationalizing to yourself.
He finagles it in there.
It's like, oh, well, if I touch the demons, I'll see their sins, so I have to bring them here with the gloves on, and then when the gloves are on, then I'll take the gloves off to see their sins, and then destroy them.
Well, don't forget the fact, too, that, they're doing this out in broad daylight sometimes. Like, no, because God's going to protect them from anyone from seeing them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's these moments in between, like, reality where God can help them. like where people can go missing. And it's just all this crazy rationalization and this reasoning where it's this great, because it's all this circular logic shit where you don't have to, Bill Paxton, you can't convince him otherwise, because he's built it up in his head that you can't prove him or God wrong, to the point where he brings back the third weapon, and it's a lead pipe. It is just a pipe.
Yep.
That's it. I'm like, what? So let me get this straight. God sends people magical items in the Bible all the time. He sends them like magical cloaks, fucking flaming swords, and he can turn water into wine. And for fighting demons in fucking Armageddon, the whole end of the world shit, he gives you a lead pipe.
Nick, you just gotta send weapons that are part of the times. You gotta keep with it.
You know what else is part of the times? A fucking gun.
No. God can't protect you against guns. No.
Are you telling me a gun doesn't work?
God doesn't have the ability to protect the noise that guns make. It's against his jurisdiction.
Okay.
The Second Amendment prevents that, Nick. He can't stop that.
Alright. But I didn't realize God was so conservative. But so Fenton, the whole time, he's just like, oh man, I need to tell somebody, but he really doesn't want to, like, cause he loves his dad. Like, it's like, no, my dad's a cool person. Like, I like him. It's just that he's fucking gone crazy.
Yep.
And I love it, because Fenton in this young age is the audience avatar of, like, because we always want to, yell at the person on screen, like, no, you're not hearing voices from God, you're crazy. Yep. And Fenton is just like, Dad,
Stop murdering people.
What are you talking about? You just killed that one. I'm like, no, I've never killed anyone in my life. I destroyed them. And I was like, you sure? Because they don't seem to be like demons on the inside or anything. They seem to bleed like regular human beings.
They scream like them.
Yeah, and I love how his proof to Fenton is that I touched them, and didn't you see their sins? And Fenton's like, no, I didn't see shit.
I saw you have a mini seizure.
Yeah, and it was like, I'm like, I didn't even get those powers too. I'm like, wait, shouldn't you have Fenton touch them? Because if his powers are to see the things, but no, apparently the little brother Adam can see the sins too. Yeah. And your whole thought that time is just like, and Fenton's as well, is like, oh, Dad's totally got you brainwashed to where you'll admit to see. And we even see that later where Adam brings up his own list of people where it's like, oh, is this kid that bullied you in school? Like, yeah, he's a demon. God told me so. And then Bill Paxton's like, now, son, no, you know you're lying right now, and that's not good. This is, do not make light of our mission. And it's like, it's not good to make up this sort of thing.
And it's almost like a cute scene, except for the trouble murdering people.
Except for, I love Fenton's face that whole time.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking serious? Because in Fenton's mind, there's no difference between these two lists. The only difference is that Adam has some sort of reasoning for the people on his list, rather than Bill Paxton seeming having randomly selected people. And, yeah, so without going into too much spoilers for the end, the rest of the story is basically Fenton's struggle with, do I tell anybody? Do I tell people I'm my dad? Do I run away? Do I try and take Adam with me? Yeah, like, do I try and rescue him from Dad? Like, he's actually pulled in a lot of different directions on what to do, because he's still, like, he's older, and he said he's been taking care of his
little brother,
for a while.
Their mother died giving birth to Adam.
Yeah, and so you can tell he's responsible, and he's very mature for his age, but he's still a kid, and he really doesn't know what to do. Like, he doesn't know what the right thing to do is. And then when it gets to the point of the first kill, he feels like he's in over his head. Like, he's already involved, and like he's already been pushed past the point of no return.
And man, some of those scenes are just really fucked up when they bring in their victims, and they're like, this guy's about to murder someone, and he's got his children gathering around him, and it's like, like, look, children, this is how we kill people. Like, it's really freaky.
The thing with it, though, is that Bill Paxton always looks like he actually is struggling with it. When he's killing the demons, he's freaked out, because despite all of his talk about destroying demons, he does see them as people.
Right.
And he's like,
unless he's touching them.
Unless he can only do it after he's touched them. And then he can finally, like, oh no, I see your sins, you are indeed a demon, and I must destroy you. And even then he's got, like, this craze, like, this is weird for me look on his face. Yeah, and, you know, of course they have this perfect logic of, like, oh, you can't tell anybody about our mission or you'll put them in danger and us. Like, it's the hallmarks of this crazy, like, build your own reality thing. And it actually culminates into a very interesting endpoint, which we will get into. But I've been talking about basically the main plot about it. But what'd you guys like about the film? Likes and dislikes, if we want to go around.
Well, I think the movie would have been a little bit better if they would have said one way or the other if the family had been religious to begin with. Like that, that might have added some context, I guess.
I guess I had the feeling that they were, but I guess you're right. They never explicitly
it's a small town village in Texas. We can probably guess they were religious.
They're probably, like, shot in the dark. I mean.
But I just feel like it seems weird that it wasn't outright stated.
Well, they were watching, like, this even, like, religious programming on the TV.
Like, basically is what Moral Oral spoofs off of.
Yeah, I don't know what program that was, but when I saw it, I was like, that's Moral Oral. Yeah. And then I watched it, like, oh, no, that's actually something different, but that's definitely what Moral Oral got its inspiration from. Yeah, I even love that the TV was giving him a mixed message too, of just like, well, God made me do it. Like, well, God didn't make you do anything. Right. God made it so you have free will and makes your own decisions. And like, so even the fucking evangelical TV is like,
this is not right.
You might want to be a little more skeptical about this. I don't know. and when an evangelical Christ-based cartoon is telling you, maybe you should look at this with some skepticism, you might be in some pretty dark territory.
Yeah.
Kyle, what'd you think?
I liked the movie for the most part. I thought it was a fairly interesting take, or not really take on anything, because it's a fairly original script. I mean, you don't go like, hey boys, instead of going fishing, let's go murdering demons.
It's like fishing, right? It's hunting in a form.
I do know I want a trailer of this movie, and like, it's a great father and son tale, and then like it cuts to them chopping people up and murdering people.
Yep.
I mean, all three characters had pretty good crazy eyes. I'll give them that.
Bill Paxton is the father of the year in Frailty.
Oh, not so much now.
They don't show much blood.
No, they don't actually, and they're very restrained with that, and
it's fairly tame, all considering.
Well, most of the horror of this movie, if we were to call it a horror film,
I think it's more of a classified as horror.
I think it's more of a thriller. It's more of a
suspense
thriller.
Yeah, I would categorize that as well, but it's always a little nebulous. But the creepiest parts of this film are Bill Paxton being so fucking normal about this, and how readily he has accepted this mission into his life.
I mean, if you saw an angel, seeing is believing, dude.
Sure. To the point where he believes it so much, he's willing to lock one of his kids in a goddamn cellar so that he can
only give him a glass of water.
A glass of water a day. For a week until he sees God and is like, okay, I'll have you believe in our mission. And I was just like, okay, well, if you lock me in a cellar for a week, I'll probably tell you whatever you want me to tell you.
I mean, kudos to Fenton, where his first reaction was, there is no God.
That was a pretty good line.
I mean,
where it's like, son, did you see God yet? There is no God. I was just like, damn. Boy, you cruising for a whooping? But, Fenton is, he is oddly a lot like his father, actually, to where he's
stubborn.
He's set in his belief that his dad is fucking nuts.
I mean, it's a much more likely belief.
Well, you do realize that for no second in this movie does Fenton think that this is real.
No.
For no second does he have any, questioning, like he never questions himself, like, maybe my dad is right, maybe he does have a point, or like, maybe this whole thing is real. No, never happens with Fenton. And same thing with Bill Paxton. He never thinks it's not real. He never allows doubt into his mission at all. So, actually, they're very similar in their mindsets and their personalities, but they just end up on the opposite spectrum of this one choice, which really puts a damper on your relationship. Yeah. It's a big thing to disagree with your dad on.
Murdering people? Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of an impasse you can't walk back from. But
alright guys, raise your hands. Who's for murdering people?
Well, it depends on if we can do it with a lead pipe and an axe from God.
In fact, you even get to touch them first.
You know what? There we go. That's the deal breaker right there. That's the selling point. Even that scene was pretty cool, where he wants his son to build. He wants the son to dig the pit for. Yeah. Like, how fucked up is that?
Their murder basement.
That you get locked in the pit you dug for a week. Like I built my own punishment. How fucked up is that? Mm-hmm. And then his dad is like, here, wear these gloves. I don't want you to get your hands hurt. Like, you should, because he's shoveling without any gloves with the shovel and stuff, so he's getting splinters and fucking cutting his hands open, and his dad's like, hey, I know you want to get back at me, but don't hurt yourself, like, wear these gloves, wear these safety gloves. And because he associates his gloves with his dad's murdering, he's like, fuck those gloves, fuck anything that is involved in your stupid mission, I'll build your pit, but I'm gonna do it my way. Again, super stubborn about it. Mm-hmm. And again, a nice little. If there's anything I really gotta praise this movie for, is that these small little details included with the family relationship between Bill Paxton and his kids. The thing with the gloves. Yep. The small little jokes that he does, like, if you eat enough peas, you might become one. Like, how many times has my dad said something to me like that? That relationship feels super real to me, and I feel like that's what sells the creepiness of the deterioration of Fenton and his dad's relationship. Is just that here's this guy that I've looked up to all my life. He's my hero, and my trust has eroded away to the point to where I just can't trust anything this guy says anymore. Mm-hmm. I can't even see them as my dad anymore, because whoever I thought my dad was beforehand, isn't
here anymore.
My reality is shook. I can't see him as that anymore. I can only see this murderer in front of me.
Why did the axe have Otis inscribed into it?
Now, you see, that's interesting, because I thought I wasn't paying attention. Okay. Like, I was just like, because they zoom in on it,
and a couple times.
Fenton is kind of like, oh shit, and he runs off, and I'm like, what the fuck does Otis mean? Like, I was literally looking, I was like, Is that a big reveal?
Is that some kind of biblical thing?
Is it because, like, maybe that axe is... I thought it was maybe because the axe was supposed to be sent by God, and then it was supposed to be a special weapon. And before, the axe didn't have Otis on it, and now it does. So I thought, like, oh, does that mean this is actually a different axe, and his dad is crazy, and he's murdering people with a different axe? Like, the axe got replaced at some point? And, like, you know, shaking your face. No, he actually did inscribe Otis on it. Apparently it was Bill Paxton's idea to inscribe Otis on it, and he never really explained why. Okay. People were talking about, like, maybe that's the dad's name, since we never get the dad's name. They're talking about maybe it's an acronym saying that only the innocent survive.
You don't add T's in acronyms.
Yeah, which I thought was like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But I thought maybe it was a biblical reference, but I didn't find any Otis in the Bible or anything like that. Because they talk about, you know, a lot of biblical shit in this movie, you know, mission from God and all that. Abraham gets brought up, obviously. So yeah, the thing with this movie that if I have to dock it for anything is the fact that the twist is gonna split people on it, on whether or not they probably enjoyed the end of the film. Because I can see why people would not like it, like would be viscerally like, for real. And for me, I kind of had a weird shaky thing when the twist first happens, and then I go, actually, you know what? I kind of like it. I kind of like that it has a level of balls to actually stick with this premise that has never been done before.
I thought the twist was actually fairly predictable. I mean,
sure, and I kind of got when we got the lead up to it, I was like, oh, like, you know, once we hit third act stuff, I'm like, I think I know where this is going, because once you hit a certain point in the second act and there isn't a switch over yet, like there isn't a big shake up in the plot, you kind of go, is this movie just going to be about him getting away from his dad, or no, there has to be something else? And then you start to work over in your brain what it could be, and you start to eliminate options. There's only like one or two things it could be, and you're like, I think it's this.
Although I think we had to give an award for, like, worst FBI agent ever. Because, like, you know what? Everyone's going home for the day. We're shutting down. I'm gonna go with this person who has a crazy fucking story and drive a couple 100 miles away.
Yeah, this guy just told me where a body is. Go ahead, go home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
No.
I will admit that I'm like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Like even, like, you know, Matthew McConaughey doesn't seem like a threat, and everything he says seems legitimate, but even then, why would you only bring yourself, like, one dude to go check out this possible murder site when you're investigating a fucking multiple murder serial killer? Like, your suspicion isn't upped a little bit, like, at all. Yeah, so there's that point in that film.
He even says out loud, it's like, you know, no one does what you're doing. That doesn't happen in real life. I'm like, then why did you keep going then?
Yeah, like, he's ultimately confused about what Matthew McConaughey is talking about. He does not know, like, why is this guy admitting all of this shit to me in the back of my car? But he never stops him from driving that fucking thing. But yeah, with that, I think most of my dislikes for this film are just kind of, you know, Bill Paxton being a more or less kind of rough around the edges director. A lot of the scenes are shot pretty well. They do get the sense of kind of menace and stuff, but most of it comes through the acting and the performances. The cinematography and most of the actual filmmaking is pretty standard. Like,
it's passable. It's like, you don't know how to do a creative shot, so you do these stock type of shots. Yeah.
And that's pretty standard. Like, Bill Paxton obviously knew certain shots, certain film techniques from being on set.
Yep.
But he's not like he's not revolutionizing anything with anything behind the camera. So yeah, most of the part is like, you're going to watch this film for the performances and the relationship between the kids rather than anything, you know, technically revolutionary. Do you guys want to bring anything else up before we go into final thoughts and ratings?
No, I think I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Anything that was ultimately stuck out to you as a dislike before? I realize I haven't really talked about anything that... There was nothing in this movie that really stuck out to me. I'm like, I don't like that.
No, it's a really solid movie.
Like I said, the twist I felt was fairly predictable.
Yeah.
Like, I got it basically in the first act.
Oh, really?
But I kind of like how the twist didn't really deter from the movie overall, though. Mm-hmm. Like, you can actually even take the twist a different direction if you want.
Yeah, you could. Yep.
Yeah,
I kind of like that.
And I thought the last shot was a bit heavy-handed.
Yeah.
Oh,
the final
yeah.
shot.
That one was a little not very subtle.
Yeah, no.
But we'll get into that. With that, again, I'm just gonna we'll go with the final ratings and I'll start. I just want to reiterate that Bill Paxton, wow, what a phenomenal actor. I don't feel like he ever got to the notoriety that he probably should have, because I can't remember a film that I really saw him in that I didn't like his acting. No, that's not true. Twister exists. But he's okay in Twister. Like, he's alright.
Twister isn't Bill Paxton's fault.
Yeah, you can't blame Bill Paxton for Twister.
I still watch that movie. It's funny.
I watch that movie all the fucking time. I want to see people fight tornadoes.
It's like the guy who made Sharknado.
Yes. Except that he
was given a budget.
Yeah, he didn't have the shark idea yet.
Yeah, wasn't there.
But yeah, a great performance, another great performance by him here. Some great child performances in this, which are a rarity to be sure. Mm-hmm. The story is very enough compelling while not being outright terrifying. It does leave you creeped out through most of it. It gives you an uneasy feeling and it does make you feel kind of like, I just do not know, like what's going to happen with this kid and his dad next. You're always waiting for it to take this dark twist that it might take, and it's always on the edge of your seat kind of with this relationship, and I like that the most about it. So, I'm gonna give this film a 4 out of 5, and I'm just gonna doesn't get the full 5 points for me just because sometimes the standard filmmaking and shots from it, most of the time they don't detract from it. Some scenes they kind of do. Like, it's like, you could have shot this maybe a little more dynamically. This not have been so static of a shot, but for the most part, it is truly passable and still a great solid film. So 4 Otis inexplicably named Otis axes out of 5. How about you, Travis?
Yeah, like I said, I really like this movie. It was really solid. I love all the crazy eyes because all three characters,
all the crazy eyes,
so many crazy eyes, and I spent like most of the second act, I was just sitting there yelling at Fenton, look, you know he's fucking crazy, just get out of there. There's nothing you can do.
Yep.
You know it, he's crazy. And every single time that he just like bring up this rationalization, I'm like, yeah, that's what a crazy person would say.
Exactly what a crazy person would say.
And the more and more you rationalize it, the more angry I was getting at Bill Paxton's character. I'm like, God damn it, just stop already. It was almost entertaining in a way, just how angry I was getting at this character. But overall, it was a really good movie. I actually don't feel like the twist ending changed my opinion one way or the other about the movie, to be honest. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's really, really good, solid movie.
I just like the idea of Travis arguing with the
I
film.
really was.
Damn you, Bill Paxton.
It's kind of like a football match where you argue with the ref. It was basically that, except it was just sitting there.
Oh, come on, Bill Paxton. You gotta call a flag on God there. Right? Come on. He was offsides on that one. But, Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Travis and I have like been on a line recently. Like our minds are connected because I also give it a 7 out of 10.
It's like we got a voice from God.
Oh God!
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're on a mission from God.
I'm reducing it to 6.
We're on a review from God.
We're on a review from God. 7 reviews from God out of 10.
There you go. A very fitting rating. And so that was our review for Bill Paxton's Frailty. Definitely give it a check out. That's I think that's a recommendation from all of us to at least give it a watch on. It's on Netflix. It's not going to cost you anything but a little bit of your time, and it's a short movie too, at an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. So not even a lot of that. But before we go into our spoiler section, Travis, do you have our pick for next week?
I do. Let's see how cringeworthy this is going to get.
Okay.
Where's the controller?
Do you have it? I think I remember the one you were supposed to pick.
Oh, yeah, Wyvern. Or what we were talking about something.
No, it's
Wormwood. Road of the Dead.
Wormwood, Road of the Dead, but Worm is WYRMM, I think.
No, just one M.
No, just one M. Like, no, I'm seeing the W and I'm reading it as something different.
Yeah, typically whenever I see an R next to an M, I add the R to the M, like a cursive M, so it confuses me
Looks
sometimes.
like one giant letter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so you want to exit out of that right there? Alright. And, so join us next time for some crazy zombie action in Wormwood, Road of the Dead. Wormwood. Say that 5 times fast. But, yes, if you're interested in a spoiler section for Frailty, join us after this small musical break, and we'll be back right after this.
Ask a fish head anything you want to. They won't answer. They can't talk.
And welcome back to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast, spoiler section for Frailty. I hope you enjoyed that lovely musical break of Fish Heads.
That was terrifying.
Finally got to show Travis and Kyle both Fish Heads. They had not seen it before.
Kyle, you're right. Frailty was a thriller, like a suspense horror thriller movie. That was horror. That was
horrifying.
That was straight up horror.
Well, the good thing about Fish Heads is if you took them to see Frailty, you wouldn't have to pay to get them in. That's definitely a good thing about Fish Heads.
Was there anything else to that bit, or is that just
pretty sure OSHA would have something to say about that, or
about those roly-poly fish heads?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. I think if you do eat them up, they do
like
indeed.
FCC or
FCC prevents fish heads from entering movie theaters.
Yeah, please censor that video from now on, FCC. I'm typically an advocate for your defunding, but
with that. Should we talk about something almost as suspenseful and terrifying as Fish Heads?
Oh, nowhere near close.
Let's talk about Frailty and let's spoil the shit out of it. So
spoiled like a fish head.
So we come to a culmination with Fenton's disbelief with his father, leads him to run away and tell the sheriff, the local sheriff, about what Daddy's been up to. The sheriff doesn't really believe him, but comes to kind of take a look anyway. And Bill Paxton the whole time is kind of asking him, like, "Oh, well, I don't know, what's the deal with my son? You tell anybody else at the precinct, by the way?" Like
that was a really suspicious question.
He is being anything but subtle during that conversation of like, "Hey, if I were to murder you tonight, just off question, if I were to murder you tonight, would anyone notice?
Anyone know you're here at all? Anyone?
I just want to know." And yeah. He, for whatever reason, because he's already gotten the body out of there and he's got the cellar is clean, he murders the shit out of the sheriff.
Oh, he said he was going to.
Yeah, and it was like, I need to keep our mission safe. And he, to Bill Paxton's credit, the character actually, he throws up and is much more visually upset about this kill because he
murdered someone.
He recognizes
his own idea.
He recognizes this as a murder rather than destroying a demon.
Fenton's just like, what the fuck? You killed him. You killed all the rest of them.
Yep. And then of course Bill Paxton's like, look what you made me do. And Fenton's like, bullshit. I didn't make you do shit. You started acting crazy, and I did the irresponsible thing and went and told an adult.
I mean, I give credit to that character where that is his first reaction. We're like, none of this is my fault. This is all on you.
Anyway, it leads to the locking in of Fenton into the cellar. Because Bill Paxton's character was supposed to kill him because he's like, God told me you're a demon. But I can't believe that. I can't. I'm like, okay, so you can believe God when you need to kill a bunch of other random people on this mission from God. But when it comes to your son, you're like, no, God must be wrong about that. Thought God was infallible. Yeah, but sometimes mistakes happen. Wow, okay, way to be inconsistent about it. But anyway, weird rationalizations aside, Fenton, after a week of not eating, has decided that, well, I might as well just say I believe in God because seems to be the only way I'm going to make it out of this. Says that he has seen God, and what's great about it is the Fenton is just like, so what, like his brother's like, what does God look like? And it's like, it's hard to explain. And then Bill Paxton's like, you can't ask him to describe something like that. It's indescribable. You can't say, I'm like, oh, thank God.
Thank God you're fucking insane.
Yeah, thank God the ambiguity goes both ways. Woo! And yeah, they, end up, gathering up their next victim, who does seem to be kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what his sins were, but he did seem to be kind of an asshole.
He was redneck trash.
And they decide to have Fenton kill him to prove his faith in the Lord. And at the last second, Fenton turns the axe on his old dad. And Bill Paxton gets his great death face on, which, man, if anyone knows how to die on screen, it's that guy.
Mm-hmm. That guy and Sean Bean.
And Sean Bean and Michelle Rodriguez and Danny Trejo.
Like put all of them in the same movie.
They're like the Mount Rushmores of dying on screen.
Like Danny Trejo
and Michelle Rodriguez and, man, there's gotta be at least one more that dies in all the movies.
Sean Bean. Oh, we need another...
We need a fourth. We need something.
No, we don't necessarily need a fourth. A 3 is good, and we just make bets. Like just in the credits, show place bets now.
No. They should all die in the movie multiple times, but they just keep coming back inexplicably. I love it.
They're the only 3 actors in the movie entirely.
A franchise that's it's immortal, but with characters that are utterly killable. I like it. But speaking of Bill Paxton's death in this movie, he dies of that classic on-screen death of like not a lot of blood out of an axe wound in your chest, and has enough time to whisper those last words to his son Adam, which are apparently, go and kill that other motherfucker before I die. And so yeah, Adam actually kills their final victim. The brothers end up burying their dad and the dude, and at the end of it, after they're done buried, Fenton goes to Adam and says, "Okay, if you ever destroy me," and like he does the air quotes, like, "You ever destroy me, bury me here, okay?" And it's like, "I promise." And then we cut back to our Matthew McConaughey.
That's supposed to be the twist.
Yeah,
the twist
is the twist of the film is that, wait, I thought you said that you wanted to Adam was the one that wanted to be buried.
That was going to bury you here.
It was going to bury that it was going to be buried. Was going to be buried as Fenton because you said that Adam was the crazy one. It's like, no, I just said I buried my brother. And it's like, wait, how can that be true? Well, it can be true if I'm not Fenton and I'm Adam. Dun dun dun. Dun. So yeah, that was an interesting twist because I actually kind of thought that when they revealed the actor that played the adult brothers, I was like, oh, they actually do look like their younger counterparts. Mm-hmm. Like I thought it was just another classic movie thing of Matthew McConaughey looking nothing like his younger like his younger self, but they actually got it to where it was closer than I first imagined. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the twist is that Adam is actually the one talking with Powers Booth, and he's telling him that he's carried on his father's mission, and he's the one that followed his brother, who did end up being the God's Hand killer. He actually is a serial killer because of what his dad put him through at that point.
Because that apparently makes you not grow up normal.
Mm-hmm. So he destroys his brother after he ends up on his list, because apparently he had to wait for God to put him on his list. Because that's how that works, I guess. I guess God doesn't want you to save people like serial killers are killing. He'll put them on the list after six people are dead.
Hey, for all you know, he was accidentally killing demons. Who knows?
And here comes the next twist of the film, is that Adam actually touches Powers Booth. And we get the flashback reveal that every time Bill Paxton was touching the demons, Matthew McConaughey as Adam was getting visions of their sins and what they were doing.
Yeah, of all of their murders.
Mm-hmm, because he did have faith. So he did get the special powers that God bestowed upon them, apparently. And he does that with Powers Booth, realizes that he's the one that actually killed his mother, that was described previously.
With the crazy eyes.
With the crazy, and man...
Yeah, he killed them with the crazy eyes. That knife had nothing to do with it.
No, the knife was simply the tool for the power of the crazy eyes. So yeah, he actually touches Powers Booth when it looks like his touch knocks Powers Booth out.
Yeah.
So what's the point of the pipe then? But anyway, the twist is, holy shit, the God thing is real. Mm-hmm. Like, it's actually a real thing, and it actually, when I thought about it later, I'm like, oh, because God's inconsistent and kind of an asshole. Like, that's the whole point of the movie, is that, yeah, and so if you were to really believe a lot of the stories in the Bible, this is how God works through these crazy convoluted shit things that don't make any sense. So yeah, he reveals that, like, there's that reveal too, is that your brother only had 6 victims. Why are there so many graves here? It's like, oh, that's because my brother killed humans. I just destroy demons. And I guess their definition of demon is people that do bad stuff. Because they never really explain if they've been infested by demons, or if they are, or if they're simply just evildoers. Yeah, because they do show that they're murderers, child molesters. They are the scum of the earth sort of people. So
they are Redneck Dexter.
Yeah, so he is Redneck Dexter sent by God, apparently. Mm-hmm. And if that wasn't enough, because you're kind of like, wait, so is this real, or is this kind of another mass hallucination from Adam? Until you get to the next scene, which is him after he has killed Powers Booth and has buried him as his brother's final victim, or as seemingly. The FBI, they're talking to the FBI, and it's like, I shook his hand, but then suddenly it's all a blur. Like, I don't remember what he looks like. And then they see the security tape, and the security tape fucking interference bends so that you can never see his face.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So God is fucking protecting him on his path via the Armageddon thing. So I'm like, oh my god, they were actually right the whole time, except that there's no fucking way to prove it. So I'm still not, I'm not actually mad at Fenton because the fact that he didn't immeditely have faith meant that he got fucked in the end.
No.
Because he didn't immediately believe
because he was
everything.
a demon, Nick.
Right, but was he a demon because he was destined to be a demon, or was he a demon because he didn't immediately believe everything you said, even though as God I sent an angel to tell your sons about this, because he didn't believe my fourth hand account of this thing. Suddenly, he's a demon.
Oh, you just imagine that angel though. Like, I left a message. I don't know. He never checked his machine. What the hell?
Yeah. So, on one hand, I'm like, I can see why people would not like this twist because it proves the crazy serial killers right.
Yeah. I would have preferred to not have those last couple scenes with them proving it, just because if you just showed that, like, oh no, Adam saw the vision all the time, like, yeah, he'd just be fucking crazy.
Yeah, it could have been more ambiguous.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I thought that at first, but then I kind of came around, I thought about it a little bit. I kind of liked it because I do not remember a movie that has taken this tact before.
True.
The mission from God is actually that set it up as they are serial killers, but that, that have taken their missions from God.
They're still serial killers, regardless.
But they actually did get talked to by God.
Right.
Like, they're...
No, not by God. By this Wolverine motherfucker.
By the Wolverine motherfucker.
By Wolverine angel with wings.
Come on, man. He does look like kind of Wolverine.
I don't know who the angel is actually played by. I should look that up real quick. But
or at least his effect is kind of based off of.
Yeah. He's looking down, like, in judgment upon Bill Paxton. Like, you should tell your sons to hit people with lead pipes. Don't you have a flaming sword? No, that's ancient, like all the rage is the new weapons, the lead pipes. Everyone is carrying those around.
And be sure to write Otis on it. That shit's gonna confuse people.
Yeah, write Otis. Like, what does that mean? Nothing. It'll just confuse the moviegoers.
Hey, we've proven that God's inconsistent, so it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. I guess what was it? The angel is played by
Edmund Scott Ratliff.
Okay. That is a great name.
That's awesome
that is a regal name if I've ever heard one. Edmund. But yeah, if that wasn't enough, if the fucking videotape wasn't enough to prove to you that God exists, the agent that actually talked with him goes to the town to tell him that his brother is dead. It turns out Matthew McConaughey is the sheriff of the fucking town. And
which is why they were okay with the ambulance being stolen.
That makes a lot of sense. Yep. And it's like, and he shakes his hand and it's just like, oh, well, hey, and it almost looks like the agent gets a weird feeling off of it, but then it's like, never, must be my imagination. And yeah, literally just does not recognize him face to face.
Right.
Yeah, so it ends on the not so subtle shot of this pullout of the small town.
God bless.
And Matthew McConaughey and his wife and their child on the way. I guess it's in God's hands now, or some other
right. Well, he also said like the FBI agent, like you're a good man or something like that.
Yeah,
because he touched him and he didn't see demons signs, so it means he wasn't a murderer.
Mm-hmm. And so. For me, I was thinking, I was trying to work out the logistics of this, of just like, so if Armageddon's going down, I guess God actually sent out a bunch of agents because he can't fight Armageddon all by himself in this one small town in Texas.
No.
I have a feeling that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a bunch of these dudes, because even Bill Paxton said, like, people like us can see the demons. So I'm like, oh, well, there's probably got to be some other people that got the
sequel.
Yeah,
I smell a sequel.
Yeah, they don't really sequel beg that much though. But there is room. There is like room there. Like you can tell, like maybe.
So what's the plural frailty
of frailties, fragiles. Where we'll go with the Christmas Story pronunciation.
Okay.
But yeah, so. I actually ended up kind of liking the twist just because it has like I appreciate a movie with balls and like it had the balls to actually go like, no, the crazy people were right the whole time.
You were wrong, you logical motherfucker.
Yeah, it basically like that. Although I don't feel like the movie actually points to you and says you were wrong. It was just like, no, this is just one of those scenarios where like 99 times out of 100 you would have totally been right, but this was like that one time that like So yeah, I kind of liked it. Is there anything else we forgot to spoil at all? Mm-hmm. I think we got all that spoiled. We even talked about fish heads. I think that's if that's not spoiling, I don't know what is.
That's pretty spoiled, yes.
But yes, thank you for joining us on this great episode, another great segment of Netflix and Kill. Join us next week. Be sure to join us next week because we're gonna be watching fucking zombies in Wormwood. What was the road?
Dead Road or something?
Dead Road.
I remember something like that.
Wormwood. I'm pretty sure there's got to be only a couple movies on Netflix called that. So yeah, definitely check us out next time with that. If you have a suggestion you would like to have us watch for something on Netflix for Netflix and Kill, you can send those suggestions to any of our contact info. You can either leave a comment on our brand new spanking new webpage.
It's shiny.
It's
brand
all shiny.
Spanking new.
Brand new spanking new. And I should know, I spanked it myself. Like a doctor giving birth.
like the doctor giving birth.
I gave birth to this website. Oh, look at you. It's a brand new URL. Look at you. You bouncing baby. Pound of pixels.
Now make sure you cut off the HTTP.
Yeah, you just cut it. No, you gotta leave it to the dad. They left it to me because I'm the dad. So it's like, would you like to, But yeah, you can leave a comment there. You can give us an email at unapologeticgeekout@gmail.com. You can leave a message on our Facebook page, UGO Podcast. Give us a like while you're there. You can follow us on Twitter at UGO Podcast or Instagram. It's the same thing. And of course, if you'd like to help out the podcast, you can always give us one of those 5-star reviews on iTunes. Really helps us out with visibility and all that sort of good stuff. And of course, if you would like to write something in the review section, a little description box in that 5-star review, I will read it on the air word for word. Even if it's the entirety of the Fishhead script, I will sing it all out loud.
But please don't.
I don't know.
Don't worry, you can do that. I'll just leave the room.
Yeah, I'll do it by myself. I'll do it later, and I'll splice it in, and I'll have to do it, because Fishheads actually drives people crazy.
And then they see God.
The Fishheads actually, they told me to do it.
Yeah?
They told me to do it. I feel like that doesn't have the same authority. Like,
it doesn't.
So, kids, you don't worry. It's all worked out. A giant fish head with a flaming sword came to me last night and told me we had to murder cats.
You know what, Nick? Even if it came out that was true and you did see a fish head, it still wouldn't rationalize it.
But yes, with that, join us next week, and until then, we are Unapologetic Geek Out, and
we're out.